let's just sew whatever. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be reviewing slash first thoughts slash playing with the Thor 0617C, the Pantone color of the year. I would give this machine a B-. I think that it sews fairly well. I did have some issues and I'm gonna just leave all of that in the video because I am not someone who would hide how I feel about something just because of, I don't know. I'm just not gonna do that. I paid for this machine with my own money. Sam did have fun covering the table with wallpaper. I'd sent him the wallpaper though. So just to throw that out there, to dispel any rumors, I buy my machines from Sunny Sewing. I don't get any kickbacks if you mention my name, anything like that. Feel free to do it, but yeah, plain and simple. I purchased this machine on a 20 by 30 tabletop, so it is much tinier, which is really fun. And they can do that for machines. You just have to call and talk with them, so it makes it a little more portable, easier to put in a smaller room. So we think that is pretty cool. The draw of this machine, or what they advertise, I should say, was that it is the 1181 threading and compound walking foot of a 15 or 1341 machine. Pretty cool. I don't specifically know the benefit of the compound walking foot, and I have not done research. I just asked my friend Shannon of Knotted Threads Co. because she has both machines and has a lot of experience sewing on a 1541 where I don't. And she said that, I've already forgot, I just listened to it. I believe what she said, and I'll correct if I'm wrong, that she has less bunching on the 1181. However, she was very specific about her tension settings, or is very specific about her tension settings on the 1541. So that is something to consider. I just feel like I can never get my materials to feed evenly through the machine. And I will kind of go through some errors and issues I had. When I taped the pieces together, there were no problems. However, I'm not going to sit there and tape all of my pieces together. I am not an industrial expert. I am not a mechanical expert. I know how I like the way things feel. And that's plain and simple. So if you're here for a more in-depth review in that way, please go somewhere else. Feel free to leave a negative comment. It's fine. It doesn't bother me anymore. Sloppy and unprofessional until I die. But yeah, I would say that if you are looking for an agile machine, go with the 1181, the Juki 1181. However, I've heard that some people have not motor issues, but I suspect that it's a weak motor issue, or not quite what I have anyway. I have a friendly motor on my Juki 1181. They have their Thor motors on these machines. So it could just be that it's a little bit different. Again, not a machine expert. So that's enough ranting. I'm so sorry. Let's just dive right into the review of the machine. Overall, I will enjoy using this machine. I purchased it to travel with and just to have a machine to review because I do know a little bit about industrials. All right, everybody, so we have the Thor RE0617C. And this machine is from Sunny Sewing. Oh, should probably lock it. I am currently in our classroom space in Belleville, Illinois, and I ordered this machine from Sunny to try out. Sam had tagged me in it and was like, yeah, I think Lauren would really like it. So I was like, okay, I'll order one. So I ordered it on a 20 by 30 table. I thought it would be really fun to have something kind of small and portable, take with me to shows, that kind of a thing, should I want to sew at a show. But so we've leaned back the machine to add the oil. Right now I can tell the oil pan is empty, and with an industrial machine, you do not want the oil to be empty. So I'm just gonna open this up, pour this in. There is a fill line, and there's a high and a low, and I think this entire little jug is gonna be perfect. You want it kind of right in the middle. Down inside is where you would drain the oil should you need to. And then you could even keep the little container that the oil came in and refill it, and you'll know where full is. So just lift this up here. So that is the oil pan, and this helps feed the oil through. So it's a self-oiling machine, I believe. There you go. So I'm gonna lean this back. I do have the machine on, and it does come with a magnetic light that you can hit 3 times to turn that on. And this is magnetic, so you can stick it to any part of the machine that makes sense for you. I'm just looking around the machine a little bit. I don't feel a lever to keep it up. Like when you wind a bobbin. I'm not sure what it is. I guess you would just have to use the knee lift, which is super noisy, by the way. On the machine, there is a needle positioner, which also controls your speed, so that's what's down there. This is up in speed and down, and then the N button is up or down for your needle, and then this piece here is your synchronizer. And then we've got the bobbin winder on the side, stitch length selector, reverse lever. So this machine threads like an 1181, but has the compound walking foot of a 1541. So that's what's intriguing about this machine. I did not request the table to be what it is, but Sam was like, oh, I could have some fun with the table if you want. And I'm like, sure, go for it. You know, I'm always down for whatever. Full disclosure, I did buy this machine. It was not given to me. As with all of the machines, I have purchased them myself. So I'm going to candy cane around that area there. And then I'm going to slip it through this tension disc. It looks like if you're using an even thicker thread, you could candy cane around here as well, but you want to make sure it's in that tension disc. And then we're going to click it in here, come around the tension disc, make sure it goes into that little spring, and then I'm going to push and kind of feel to make sure I've got good tension on my thread before I continue. And then I like to go back through this arm to click it in on my 1181. I think it kind of changes the tension a bit, so it's up to you if you want to do it or not. These discs feel a little tight, like I'm not able, not discs, but the little arms, I don't feel like I'm able to just slide it through, so I'll just thread it through. It just clicks into that little open space there, and then there's another little hole, and then it threads left to right. And then the bobbin casing is below. I'm just going to take the bobbin out. Click that in. You want to make sure that your bobbin fits nicely and there's no dipping or any wiggling within the case. And then we'll just replace that. This table is so small, it's so cute. Like right now I'm sitting where I'm used to sitting on my machine and I'm like over to the edge. I love it. So now that I've shown you this side of the machine, I'm going to switch it a little bit to show you sewing on it. You can see how much table space I have here. I'm so used to having like this big long piece, but it's just too freaking adorable. So I've got the top threaded. I'm going to bring my thread up through the bottom. One of my first bits of feedback is the Knee lift is not as nice as the 1181. This is like a rubber pad versus like a nicer plastic disc that the 1181 has. I'm gonna grab some double-sided tape. So I am just making a really simple and quick zipper pouch to test this out. And I am using TPU, which a lot of machines have issues with, so this is probably not the best choice, but it is the best I could do right now. So I'm starting out with my zipper tabs on my zipper. I'm going to fold that over and then cut away any excess on the top. You definitely want to make sure that you hold your threads to start. It's nice and smooth, feels quiet. And then the needle positioner. Oh yeah, the tension is not good, but I had anticipated that would be the case with the TPU. So I can see my top thread is super loose, so I'm going to go ahead and tighten that quite a bit, and then we'll try again. So if anything, this is kind of like a good way to show how to fix tension when you have those kinds of issues. Oh, that didn't even sew. Ugh. None of it. Interesting. So I'll go ahead and loosen that. We'll see now what happens. Okay, it looks way better now that I've tightened that tension. And again, that's the nature of TPU and kind of getting to know a new machine. So, okay. I didn't have any like bags cut out. I may try to do another like actual bag on this machine soon, but we just have so much going on here at work that it's hard to find the time to sew, but this does not have the hump jumper like the 1541 and the 1341. So if that is something that you are looking at and want, this would not be the option for you. But if you're wanting something this one I think is a little bit cheaper than an 1181 maybe. I am not the biggest fan of how the compound walking foot moves. So what the compound, oh, bobbin broke. What the compound walking foot does is your needle moves, your feed dogs move, and your foot moves, as opposed to a walking foot where the feet and the feed dogs are moving. So you also have the needle moving. So it walks a little bit different. The feed dogs don't look as rough as the 1181s, so that is another point to note, is that you probably won't end up with vinyl marks like some people complain about on the 1181. I have worn down my 1181 so much that I don't really get marks on my zipper. What I would do is I would accidentally wind a bobbin without the foot up. I didn't know, so it was just constantly dragging on it. The tension is still not perfect, but again, this is TPU. It's not the best judge on a machine. If you've used TPU, you know that sometimes machines need a little adjusting to make it work just right. Also might be my bobbin tension. I'm feeling like it's a little tight. Yeah, it looks much better when it's sewing just through the zipper tape. So that's a sign there that it's the TPU. I'm just going to square the bottom. Tension's looking a lot better. Those little adjustments have helped a lot. Oh, broke my bobbin thread again. So yeah, that would lead me to believe that our bobbin tension is just a little too tight. They're using a different kind of bobbin to test the machine. So again, those are little adjustments that you're going to have to make no matter where you purchase your machine from. And so to adjust the bobbin tension, there's 2 screws. You're going to be using the bigger screw and just gently turning using the small screwdriver. I requested the skinny foot on the machine, but it does have a regular black walking foot. So you want the thread to be able to just kind of slowly drop down as you shake it. I can't tell if it is, but it just feels really tight within the casing. There we go. And now again, our tension could be a little bit different now that we're sewing from this way because I adjusted my bobbin tension. So it could be that I need to then loosen my top tension or tighten my top tension to kind of counteract what I've done down below. I can hear it and it doesn't quite sound right. And yeah, you can see something is super tight there, but it should still hold. So what you can do to test that is just kind of press. No, this doesn't look great, but it's not my top stitching. So I'm like, I'll live with it for now until I have the time to really sit down and adjust the tension. But from what I can see, I sewed it in this direction. My top tension needs to be tightened a little bit more because I can see my top on the bottom. So I can even do another round of stitching. Let's see. I keep looking at my clock like, I have time? Yeah, something with the bobbin is still not quite right. But that is not necessarily the machine's fault upon first impression. That is just adjustments that would need to happen with any machine. But I can turn my pouch because it is done. It's not perfect, but I didn't think it would be. First time. I definitely hope to have time, maybe tomorrow, to try this machine out again with non-TPU and kind of see how it sews. Maybe try to wind a bobbin on it to see how that feels as well. The stitch length looks good. It looks true to what the dial says. Sometimes when you get an industrial, it's not quite accurate. But this pouch is super, super cute. So Sew Whatever Studio. I just used an 8 by 8.5 ruler. It was 8.5 wide, 8 tall, and I cut out 1.5 inch corners. So that is my little pouch sewn with it. So today's first impressions are tension is not quite right, but you can see they tested it before they sent it to me, and they're using a fairly thick vinyl, and it looks great. So TPU is just a totally different beast, and the machine would need adjusting for it. So I hope this was helpful. I'm excited to sew something else, and I'll see you in a day or two, but seconds in the video. We are back to playing with the Thor RE0617C, which sounds like a Pantone color, which is kind of fun. I'm gonna go ahead and wind some bobbins. I'm making 3 Peekaboo beauty bags, just some simple zipper pouches without clear vinyl, thinking, well, maybe that would help learn, like we'd be able to learn a little bit better about the tension on the machine since we're not using a clear TPU. So to show you how to wind the bobbin, and this is the same on the Juki 1181, you're gonna thread your thread through the stand, through the little eye, and then around the tension disc. And then the way I wind a bobbin is I will thread through one of the little eye holes, hold my thread, push this forward, and then we can start to wind. And like I said, I don't see a way to keep the foot up. Ah, there it is. Okay, it's just way, way back there. So it's like right under here back there. It's like there's gotta be. So make sure you've got that up when you're winding a bobbin, and make sure that your bobbin case is empty. I said, even though mine was not. So now we're clear to wind a new bobbin. I wonder if my needle positioner, something's shaking back there. that shouldn't. So, no? Is it just like a... So it sounds like my needle positioner is what's shaking, but it's this cover here. It's kind of loose. I don't know, hard to say, but it's not the most appealing noise in the world. Ooh. So that is the bobbin winder telling me that it's done, but this bobbin is nowhere near full. So what I'm gonna do is adjust it when it's down like this. So I'm gonna grab a screwdriver because it's this piece here that I need to loosen. Bend this down to where I want it to be. Oh, come on. Oh, this piece seems very loose overall, kind of wobbly. We want to move back all that tension back on the thread, and then let's see, okay, didn't get me very far. So loosen that quite a bit. Come on now. Okay, and then we're turning the piece further in. And if not, I might need to just get like a pair of pliers maybe. To adjust it. Because yeah, that shouldn't be stopping that far in. You can fill a bobbin pretty far. All right, let's see. Just make sure that you've got your tension back on the bobbin. Okay, so I've adjusted it so that little tongue comes down a little bit further. It's still popped faster than I would like it to, so what I can do, since I don't want to mess with this anymore, is just push forward slightly on the bobbin winder until I get the bobbin where I want it. And then we can pull that off and then yank on this thread within the bobbin. So you want to be able to see just a little bit of the silver, but this is a fairly filled bobbin. I'll just set it there for later and move on. You can adjust the speed of your machine to go much faster while you're winding bobbins. You'd have to stop, increase your speed. Okay. I'm gonna do one more just in case. It's just white thread. I can never have too much white thread. I'm really tempted to see if I can't tighten this though, like. I don't know why that would help, but always remember too, like these machines are being transported, they're being jiggled without realizing, so things like that happen to my knowledge. I did fix the bobbin winder, so I feel good about that. So now that I'm done winding bobbins, I'll cut my thread up higher and let the bobbin finish winding all the way. Make sure that you heel tap the part closest to you, that pedal, heel tap that so that your needle is up when you go to put the bobbin in. All right, we still have some bobbin tension issues. You're supposed to be able to load the bobbin and then it'll like slowly drop. So I'm gonna loosen it just a touch. And again, it's that big screw that you're loosening. Can't even get this in there. There we go. Still super tight. Yeah, that is so funny. That screwdriver is too thick for the bobbin. There we go. I might just throw that away. So. It's interesting when I'm like pulling, the bobbin is not moving at all. So I wonder if it's just the case. Which is hard too, because that's not something someone very new to an industrial would think to check. So that's frustrating. Oh, is the case different? The bobbin casing doesn't look a whole lot different. So we'll see what this one feels like. I mean, the bobbin is feeding through a lot nicer than the other one. So let me just, but what's weird is like they definitely tested the machine before it was sent, but like I said, they use paper bobbins, so, well, okay. All right, this is the case that came with the machine. I'm gonna use it. Don't forget that your foot pedal, but the foot of your machine is still raised, so keep that in mind. I'm also going to thread this machine a little bit differently this time. I'm gonna go ahead and candy cane through those holes there, come around the bobbin, and then I'm just gonna, I don't know, go through the one time with this. So that's how some people thread the 1181. And again, your foot is still raised, so there is no pressure, there is no tension. So now that I've lowered that, I can test my tension. How is that? It's way too tight because I can't even get that to move. So I'm just gonna loosen it a little bit. Okay. And then I'm gonna grab my screwdriver. And I'm gonna lift this arm up a little bit. Oh. Well, all right then. Don't do that, because I just broke it. But that's okay, because it looks like a part that can be replaced. So we'll see how it sews without it. That was not a pliable metal. I really wish there was a camera on my face right now. Whew. All right, so now we're gonna get to some sewing. Okay, it's still uncomfortably noisy to raise the presser foot. I hate it. So I'm gonna oil a little bit down here. See if that helps. I'm currently under the table. I don't know if maybe it's the screw making noise or something. But I did oil the machine. Yeah, it's definitely a noise underneath. Let's just lift it and take a look. So it's not so much this as is what it's hitting, which is this little piece here, which isn't noisy either. So like, what the heck? I don't know. Maybe it'll get better over time. Maybe. Just maybe. All right. I'm gonna test with the little leather scrap he sent over. See if I can get the same results he had. Oh no, that does not look good at all. All right, I'm gonna just click that back in there and see what that does. Okay. Okay, so the bobbin tension looks too tight because it's pulling up. That or my tight top tension is too loose, so it's not forming a proper loop. So I'll go ahead and tighten that more. See if that helps any. Little bit. Okay. Lord. The bottom tension looks good, so I'm gonna guess bobbin too loose, which makes sense. We did a lot to it, so I'm gonna go ahead and just tighten it half a turn. See what that's like now. So unfortunately, yes, getting a new machine takes a lot of getting to know it, and when you don't have someone there to like hold your hand through learning it, it can be nerve-wracking. So it's looking a little bit better. I'm not sure if you can see here, but there is less definition in the threads that it's pulling up. So I'll tighten it a little bit more. I realize it probably looks bad that I'm tightening it after loosening it so much, but oh, there we go. Okay. So it's looking a lot better. Well, it was starting to, so let's see. Still not great on the bobbin. But the material feels a lot better coming out of the machine, like the fabric, nope. The thread feels a lot better coming out of the machine, so that's good. Okay. I'll try one more time, and this is quite a thick vinyl. Okay, it just looks really inconsistent, and I'm pretty sure it's because I broke that little tension disc. So maybe I can yeah, it's looking a lot better. Hopefully you can see there, but we're not quite there yet. I'm so tempted to like unscrew one off of the 1181s we have here, but I don't want to risk mussing anything up. So this is how it looked when they sent it to me, but they may have used a little bit thicker of a text thread. So that's something to account for as well. And so this is what it's looking like for me now. And it looks really good from the back. So it's my top thread that's having some issues. So maybe I'll try to thread it just a little bit differently as well. Like maybe, I don't know. Although I guess if it looks good on the bottom, maybe the top is fine. Here we go. Yeah, I don't feel like it should be as hard as it is to get the thread under that. And then you'd click it in there, but I can't. I wonder if I could like loosen it a little bit and put it through the little hole there. That would work. Because yeah, one of the issues now is I have no way to secure my thread here. Oh my god, this video is going to be just the worst. It's going to be as good as the HD9 video I did where people are like, why do you suck so bad? I'm like, I don't know. Just do. I don't feel like you need to hold your threads as securely as you do on the 1541. So that's a little bit of a benefit, I guess. It's not even that difficult to do on the 1541 and 1341. It's just something to keep in mind. It has such a power to it that unlike the 1181, you really have to yank on the thread instead of just like a gentle hold like this. All right, we're looking much better now. So I guess everything I just did to the bobbin was pointless. Oh, well maybe not. Why are you breaking? Why are you snapping? Where did you snap and why? You can see because of how the thread looks there, it definitely broke. So I'm just gonna try this bobbin case. We'll see what happens. Because you never know. All right, well, things look great. Okay, so it's this line of stitching here. So I'm gonna bet bad bobbin case, because I didn't have any snapping issues. It didn't sound strange to me. So I feel pretty good about that. I'm gonna go ahead, I don't recall if I oiled the main oil points. We did wind a couple bobbins, which is good. But there are like these little red dots on the machine that you want to make sure that you oil every so often. Okay. So I'm going to get started officially. And we'll see how it goes. I am making peekaboo beauty bags. This is my pattern, and I don't have any zipper pulls, so that's not going to be good. All right, zipper pulls acquired. So I won't be sewing through the double-sided tape on this one. We'll see how it does over the zipper teeth. I know some of my friends who have gotten 1181s from Sunny mentioned like sewing over zipper tape. They've gotten skipped stitches and things like that. So I wonder if it's a motor strength or if it really is just the machine strength, because my 1181 does not have that issue. So we shall see. I mean, stitches look pretty good, consistent. Just throw that anywhere. On the back side, I don't see any looping, so that's good. I did kind of miss my vinyl here, but I think it'll be okay. So the machine does not come with a marked needle plate. Just throwing that out there. Just kind of have to eyeball. I don't feel like it's hard to move the foot pedal or the fabric through the machine. I do feel like my foot isn't walking very much. Can you kind of see how the fabric is bunching up like that? So I might adjust my foot height a little bit maybe. And that's what these two screws on top of the machine are for. Oh. You might even be able to see things moving as you adjust them, but like the fabrics I'm using aren't very tall either. But yeah, you can kind of see how there's bunching. So I'm splitting my seam here to kind of help with bulk. So I did not hold my threads at all when I started sewing that, and there was no major issue, so that's kind of nice. Top stitching looks good. You do have to be careful on the compound walking foot machines to not move your fabric through the machine, because the needle is stopping in the fabric, and it's part of the mechanics of the machine to move along with your thread, if that makes sense. So it's moving as well, which is different than the 1181, where it's just the feed dogs and your foot walking, not the needle. Yeah, I do feel like, as is my gripe with the 1541, 1341, I don't feel like my fabric moves the way I'm used to with an 1181. Like, you kind of see how it's shifted. I didn't have things clipped or pinned, etc., so maybe that is my fault. Maybe that's my detriment, but I don't feel like it's feeding things evenly, which is weird because that's the point of the machine. So it could very well just be a personal issue, not knowing how to get the machine to feed itself as evenly as it could or should be. So I am centering my zipper. I've got it taped into place. I'm gonna grab my lining. You could tape that in place too if you wanted, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna kind of center that along the lining. I have my speed at 1400. And I am going the max speed. Okay, and then we're going to top stitch. Okay. So in top stitching that, I don't see any skipped stitches. Things are looking pretty good. And I know I picked out 3 to sew. Maybe I think I will, because they're all kind of different feeling vinyls. Very, very different. So I'll keep it. I'm gonna grab some clips this time and see if maybe that helps things not shift around. So as you can see, everything lines up pretty well. Might be off by 1/8 of an inch up here, but it's lined up with the bottom. I'll see if maybe going slower will help. But can you see how, yeah, I feel like this is my issue every single time. And I don't know if it's foot pressure being too high, being too low. Or maybe I'm not applying enough pressure to the fabric and that's why it's kind of moving around. But it was fine to begin with. Nice and flat. Maybe I'll clip it up here, see if that helps. Because everything is lined up nicely. Maybe slower is going better, but here is my dilemma. I sew for a living, so I can't go that slow. Or I should say, when I was doing a lot of bags, I was sewing for a living. Sewing is my job now, but I do not sew for a living. So I just used my reverse lever to get my needle to stop where I want it. And so when I'm doing that, I will use the turn wheel and the reverse lever like this to make my needle stop exactly where I want it to. Okay, so it's going further than I want it as I'm turning the hand wheel. So I can slowly push on the reverse lever. Oh, it doesn't work as well on this machine. Yes, okay. To put my needle down where I want it to go. And just make sure you do that really slowly, especially since, like I mentioned earlier, the needle moves to feed the fabric. So you have to be very careful on how you do that. I think maybe this side seems a little less puckery. Like this one is quite ripply, but this one is not. So maybe it is the speed. I know when I was voicing my frustration with a different machine, my friend Madeline had reached out and was like, you know, we're so used to sewing on the 1181, but you can't go that fast at times. So I don't know if that's true. Please know that I am not a machine expert. I am not an industrial expert. I just have a lot of experience on the one machine. And I'm not someone who reads into or knows the mechanics, so to speak, but I know how I feel about sewing on things. So I'll probably have said that in the beginning of the video too, because I don't want comments. So yeah, there's that. So here is what the seam looks like. I've split the bulk. I am a little curious to sew with TPU again, just to see what it looks like with a different bobbin. So maybe it was the bobbin case, or who knows. I feel like I was able to sew really close to the zipper This machine does have the skinny foot attached. It's handling the bulk like a champ. But I am using like an interfaced cotton canvas for the main print. So I got a little bit closer to the zipper tape here than I did there. It's fine. So I'm going to unzip this and I'm going to sew around the entire bag. I will say I'm enjoying sewing on this machine. I am excited to travel with it. I know that I mentioned at the beginning of the video that I purchased this with the intentions of traveling with it. I wanted to test out the new machine and see what it was like. I have used the 1181, the 1541, and the 1341 from Sunny. So not that I have, oh, I've used the Juki clone and I did not love that. I feel like I have some knowledge, but again, my knowledge is more feelings based than facts based, but I have not been holding my threads to start on this machine like at all. And I have not gotten any intense nesting. Like right there, I did not hold my threads to start and it's not bad at all. So that's kind of cool. I am using materials that I would normally use on my lady 1181, and it doesn't seem to be having any major issue. It's sewing the thinner fabric okay, about as well as I would expect on an industrial, because some of them you can't do thin stuff. The 8700, yes, absolutely, but anything else, not so much. if you already have a 1541 or an 1181, I don't see why you would want this to replace any machine. I don't feel it to be better than either of those. But if you feel like you are someone who would have trouble threading the 1541, but you like the idea of the compound walking foot, then this would be a very viable option for you. I asked Sam if the other machines can come on this small of a table. This is about a 20 by 30, 20 by 36, something like that. So it's much smaller than the others. And he said yes, that it is possible. So here is our finished pouch. I think it looks good. I don't hate the stitches at all. I'm happy with it. It looks like something I would have sewn on my 1181. It's really hard to test a machine without an actual project to make. So please keep that in mind, that I won't be able to tell you how this machine does on a super bulky project because I'm not going to be able to make one right now. It's just not something I can do. But I will go ahead and do these panels super quick because I have an accessory weight vinyl here, and then I have a clay vinyl, just a little bit thicker. So I will have used like a heavier weight, a medium weight, and a lightweight vinyl to kind of test out how this machine does. And I'm curious if I tape this on, how it will go, because this is my accessory weight, so it's a thinner vinyl. If you are not familiar with my products, we carry the accessory weight for domestic machines and for accessories. So wallets, zipper pouches, that kind of a thing, because sometimes you don't want a super thick vinyl. So the moment I felt these, I was like, ooh, that's nice. So I'm taping outside of my seam allowance. I still have not sewn through heavy double-sided tape on this machine to say how it would fare, but we'll see. Ooh. Got a little carried away with the top stitching there. I feel like it's handling it okay. The tape definitely helped prevent the shifting, so I might see what it looks like with tape on one side of the next one and no tape on the other. Yeah, looks pretty good. Okay, tape one side. The tape that I'm using is double-sided tape that I carry on my website. It's also from Weft and Warp Co. I just purchased it from her because it's actually my favorite that I've used. I love that the paper on it is really easy to rip. It does not have a terrible odor. and it works well for me. I have heard that in humid yeah, see, on my machine, it would feed evenly. Humid climates, it doesn't work as well. Okay, you see that? This one is not as bad, and this is the side that I taped down. This is the side I did not tape down. So I'm even not gonna do the like bulk reducing technique normally, not normally, but I would think on this thick of a vinyl I would want to do it, but just to see how it looks, normally I will not. And that could be that maybe these materials are too thin for this machine, but the bunching that's doing, it's like stretching the vinyl. Because yeah, those pieces were the same size when I lined them up. All right, so not sure if you can tell, like, it's just bunchy, that you can tell the vinyl has stretched a bit, especially right here, versus this side that I taped is a little bit straighter. It's like, huh, why does it do that? So yeah, anyway. So I will have given my thoughts at the beginning of the video as well. This was just kind of to show you my findings. So I hope you found this video helpful. I will enjoy using this machine. It does work, it sews, and the compound walking foot works the same as any other compound walking foot that I've used. So overall, it does its job. I would give this machine like a B-, because in my heart, the 1181 is an A+, but I have heard people have issues with the 1181, and I always wonder, is it the motor? So I hope you found this video helpful, and I will see you in my next one. Goodbye.